Want to know the secret to making full-time van life truly comfortable and convenient? After 3 years living in our self-built ambulance camper, I think we finally cracked the code. We're revealing the things that we regretted in our initial build, the things we changed, and the things we still need to address. We initially built our rig back in 2022, and in early 2023, we set off for our first time full-time on the road. We spent about a year in the US and about another year in Mexico and Central America. And over that time, we realized that things in our initial build just didn't work the way we wanted them to. Over this time, we took a lot of those things and we ended up fixing them along the way. Some of them small, some of them really big obstacles. But in the end, it ended up making our living inside of a small space so much more comfortable and so much more enjoyable in any condition, anywhere we go around the world. The first thing we're going to talk about is AC. Yes, I know AC is a very comfort item, but for us traveling in hot weather all the time, if you are sweating and uncomfortable, it just doesn't feel like home. So now we are running a Furrion 18,000 BTU roof AC unit. This AC unit is fantastic, and this was a recent upgrade. Our initial build didn't include AC at all. We had a plan to do it, but it just never got done. The first AC we used was one of those 12-volt mini splits. You can find them on Amazon or AliExpress, things like that. We used that for about a year, and it worked okay. The problem was it was very inefficient. It was very loud and just didn't work the way we wanted it to. So this past year, we decided to rip that out and upgrade to this Furrion. The Furrion is absolutely amazing. The 18,000 BTU cools this space off in no time, and with it being a variable speed compressor inside, it allows it to keep at a constant temperature in here without the fluctuations of heat and humidity as the AC kicks on and off like you normally find in the 12-volt AC units. The one thing we did like about the 12-volt mini split is it seemed to take up a lot less room. The Furrion is huge on the roof and takes up a lot of roof space. Thankfully, we have a lot of room up there, or we did. The other thing inside, though, it does take up less room. This is super flush to the roof, and it just gives it a super clean look in here, which we are super happy with. The next thing we realized when we were on the road is that we started with 800 amp hours of battery, and it just wasn't enough for what we wanted to accomplish. We were tired of looking at the power all the time and having to conserve, so this was the initial battery bank of 800 hours. We added another 400 amp hours to that to give us a total of 1200 amp hours of battery. This is key for being able to run the AC and also anything else we want. Both of us do work from the road, and when we work from the road, we have to charge laptops, run Starlink, and a lot of other electronics. This allows us to not have to worry about power near as much. Along with that, we did upgrade our solar as well. We originally started with 750 watts of power. Again, it just wasn't enough to handle our power needs. So we upgraded to 2200 watts of solar, and I have a complete video about that. Check it out in the link above for a complete tour of our 2200 watts of solar. Another thing we started with was just battery operated fans. These were super convenient to be able to just set wherever we needed them and be able to get good air circulation through here without having to run the AC all the time. The problem is we found that we constantly had them plugged into the USB ports and they were just in the way. We ended up swapping to these 12-volt hardwired fans, which were a much better option. We ended up installing 4 of these throughout the vehicle, and it creates a great amount of air circulation all the way throughout. These fans are from Circo. I think it's a company out of Canada. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. The next thing we did is we ended up getting rid of a lot of these switches. We started off with these switches that had dimmers for all of the lights, and we just ended up having a whole ton of switches all over the ambulance. So when we decided to add more lighting and all of that, I switched to the Garmin Powerswitch. I added 2 Garmin power switches in here, and it allows us to control everything from our phone or the main tablet up front. As you can see here, we kind of have our command center when you first walk in the vehicle. I used a really old tablet that we had, and I just put the Garmin Powerswitch app on there, and it works really nice. It allows us to be able to control all of the lights, turn on and off Starlink as we need it. The nice thing is we can also control it from our phone. Ever laying in bed and you just want to turn the light off and don't want to get up? Now we don't have to do that. Again, this is little things that just make life a little bit more comfortable while you're living in such a small space. The one thing we still have not addressed, and actually just came to light about a month or two ago, is our ceiling and our walls. Now, over the past almost 3 years, we have not really winter camped. Our vehicle is designed for winter camping. We have great insulation. We have a diesel heater. Everything is ready to go. The thing that I did not think about when I was putting up the walls, on top of the insulation, I did not put up any barrier to eliminate the thermal bridge on the studs in the walls and the ceiling. What we found now that it's cold outside is that we are getting condensation that actually is coming through the aluminum studs in our walls, and it comes through right where the screws go to hold the panels on the wall. These panels are some type of like particle board, so they absorb the water, and we end up with these little bubbly type things on top of the panels. We definitely add a little bit more ventilation in here, and that seems to help. If I were to do the ceiling and the walls again, I would certainly use a different material and doing it a different way. I don't know exactly what that material would be, but that might be a project for down the road, as in order to do that, we would have to remove all of the cabinets and everything. If you are in the middle of your build, be sure that you are putting something in place to eliminate that thermal bridging from the outside to the inside. It will save you down the road. We realized when we were using our shower and sink that we were wasting a lot of hot water waiting for our on-demand hot water heater to heat up and just get the water to the spigot. One of the things I put into place was a 12-volt actuator, a little ball valve that goes in line. So what it does is it runs from our water tank in the back to the ball valve on the hot water line. And so when you turn this on, it opens the ball valve and recirculates that hot water back into the tank until the whole line is filled with hot water. So we have that on switches, and all I have to do, we can turn on the hot water heater. I can flick this switch. You can hear the pump kick on, and all you do is you watch until the temperature is to where you need it set, and then turn the spigot on. You then have hot water instantly. The one thing we noticed, especially in the shower, is that we were running the water for a good 30 or 45 seconds before hot water came out of the spigot. When you're limited on water and you're trying to conserve everything, that is a huge amount of water that you're wasting at that point. So now that we have the recirculator, hot water comes out in the shower in about 3 seconds versus the 30 to 45 seconds. That's a lot of water saved. The next one was another recent upgrade. We needed a bigger gray tank. We have a 60-gallon water tank, and this allows us to take showers, dishes, anything we need. But the problem was our initial build only had a 14-gallon gray water tank. Normally, this isn't a huge issue only having 14 gallons, but we found that it filled up way too quick. We now have a 28-gallon gray water tank. This allows us to not have to dump quite as often, and it's a huge improvement. The old gray water tank would allow us about 1 shower each and maybe some dishes, and that would pretty much fill up our 14-gallon tank. Now we can do double that, and it's been a massive help. These changes might not seem like a massive deal, or they might seem over the top for a lot of people, but for us to live full-time on the road, we need our house to feel like a home. And the more comfortable we are on the road, the more time we'll spend out here really enjoying our world travels. Another thing to keep in mind is that we really don't have a lot of changes that we needed to make because we had a really good idea of our build to begin with. We originally started in this just as a recreational vehicle, and this is pretty much our 3rd build inside of this vehicle. So the first 2 times were trial and error and really changing everything. This 3rd time, we really got it right, and a lot of this stuff is just truly for comfort items. Other than the walls and the ceiling, which should have been addressed in the initial build, but you can't get it right all the time. If you have any questions about our build or anything you would like to see in future videos about our build, please let me know in the comments. Be happy to help or make a video in the future to be able to address these. Really hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, we'll see you later.